On November the 15th, 2010, Sligo Rovers made a triumphant return from Dublin to the northwest. They brought with them the FAI Cup, earned during a dramatic game against Shamrock Rovers, watched by 36,000 people in the new Aviva Stadium. For Rovers, this was only their third time to win the Cup. The 2010 season was the most successful one in the club's 82-year history. Third in the Premier Division, winners of the League Cup and winners of the FAI Cup. This record recalls some of the most dramatic details of that tussle in the Aviva. It also features some of the personalities and events of what was an epic year.
The first time I come over here was, I think it was April time. We actually sat in the seats just behind and we watched us play St Patrick's at home. And from my recollection, we got beat 4-0 on the day. But my first thoughts about it was that it's a football club. You know, forget what you've seen on the pitch, because that can always be changed. They wouldn't have had me over here if it was going well on the pitch. You know, it was a thing that I thought. You actually walked in and people had scarves on. You know, the kids were coming in. It wasn't the biggest crowd in the world, but it actually felt like a football club. And I just had a bad experience at Southport, you know, in managerial terms. So to actually walk into a place that felt like a club and the thought that you could actually change something was very appealing to me.
Well, my father was a very proud Roscommon man, actually, and he loved sport of all description, but soccer was his favourite. So from a young age, we were brought up here in the excitement of Dixie Dean and what it did in Roscommon, let alone Sligo. So we were regulars at the showgrounds since before I can remember. And certainly the mood in the house was dictated by Sunday afternoon's result. There were no floodlights in those days, and we got to know Sammy Frickleton and Harry McLaughlin and that. So that was my introduction, and with that, through my brothers and on into later life, it became something that we'd all hook up together. No matter where we were, we'd try and meet for Sunday afternoon's game in Dublin or in the showgrounds or wherever it was.
I've been lucky enough. I started playing in England when I was 17, and I'd had a decent enough career. You know, I would have played in the Premier League for 2.5, 3 years. You know, I played in the 4th division as it was then for Wigan. I played in the 3rd division for Wigan. I played in the Championship for Wolves and Burnley, and I played in the Conference for Accrington. So I was a lad that you could actually say that I'd tasted everything, from the best to the worst.
It was through Tony Quinn, actually, a fantastic gentleman and a vice chairman of the club. Tony approached me originally, and I did a bit of fundraising for the first year or two, and through that met Vincent Nally and Mary and people like that down there. And then they asked me would I come on board on the committee, and I digested that and said I would. And the next thing was landed, would I come in as the chairman as Michael Toolan was stepping down, and really without too much thought I landed in the job and took it from there.
My father used to take me to Anfield as a kid, and I've been a big Liverpool fan, and I got brought up on Liverpool being very successful, you know, and playing good football and keeping the ball. And I thought when I went into management, you know, I'd want me team to reflect that when I sat on the terraces, that I'd want to support a team. Do you know what I think? And I've said to the players numerous times in, you know, the dressing rooms in Sligo, that even if we're getting beat, we make people applaud us off. And I don't think you have to win football matches, Tommy, to be applauded off a pitch. I don't think you have to play really well, but you have to show the average person who pays his money into the ground that you care, and that you're doing your best. And I think if you give out them signals to fans, they'll always applaud you, and they can put up with bad results. It's when you get to the stage where people think people aren't trying, and everyone tries. All lads are different. You know, I do think, you know, talented boys will always come in for more criticism than Conor O'Grady and Danny Ventry's lads that are wholehearted players that give everything. You know, I just thought when I come into the club that, you know, one day if I was sitting in the stands, I'd want to sit and look forward to a game.
Boko for Ndo, and the perfect cross coming up. One that set up Gavin Pearce to score his first since high summer. They've done a lot of celebrating supporting the bit of red. Goal number 44 of this campaign. Quick thinking on the part of Danny Ventry was the key that unlocked Sporting for Sligo's second. This came right on half-time. Ventry in here to send it forward, then Blinkhorn through the eye of a needle for a classy finish from Boko. And there they go again. Rovers by now the league's leading scorers. And Sligo were hungry for more. Doe's corner met by Blinkhorn without the desired effect, but a cucumber cool finish for the Benin international made it 3. And underneath up in the showground stands, on the pitch, a variation on the theme. And wouldn't you know, Rovers got another. The combination was Alan Keane and then 2 Sligo substitutes. Gary McCabe with the cross, and it was dispatched by Owen Doyle. Sligo would end the night the Premier Division's top scorers.
On Saturday, September the 25th, Sligo Rovers won the League Cup for only the second time in their history. Their opponents were Monaghan United. Matthew Blinkhorn scored the match winner.
Jubilation for the home fans. That was a really well taken goal. After Grimes didn't get the challenge in, lovely ball by Keane, and that's a smart turn and a super finish by Matthew Blinkhorn. Goal worthy of a cup final. The final whistle goes. It's a famous victory for Paul Cook's Sligo Rovers. Their first trophy in 12 years. Greeted to the echo here in the showgrounds. What a great reward for some magnificent football they've produced this season. And it's Conor O'Grady who lifts the EA Sports Cup.
3 weeks later, the showgrounds was packed once more. In the final league game of the season, to pip Fingal for third place, Rovers would need a victory over St. Pat's.
The referee didn't hesitate in pointing to the spot.
We have what people would say the best footballing team in Ireland, and we play great football and we're attractive, and we've got Joseph Ndo and Gary McCabe and Rommel Boko and Richie Ryan, and names that actually reel off your tongue. For some reason, Alan Keane takes penalties for us, and I've never quite grasped that to this day, Tommy. So the reason I actually don't watch the penalties is because Alan Keane takes them. That's the most important thing, and I've never watched them. Do you know, and it's great for Alan. Alan's been, you know, another lad that's, you know, you speak about improvements in players and confidence, what it does for him. Alan's been fantastic for us. Penalty taking just doesn't do it for me. You know, I watched them take a penalty against Volaznia and hit the bar in the goal behind us now, and I never did. And when you get to a stage of 4 minutes into injury time against St. Patrick's and your life depends on a penalty, and I see Alan Keane picking the ball up, Tommy, I don't particularly want to watch it. And that was, I went in the dressing room, you know, because that was the first time. I've never watched penalties when Alan takes them, but that was the one with St. Pat's. I went in the dressing room, and along with Mary McGowan, we sat in there just chatting like you'd chat. The normal, please God, I'll behave, I'll be good, I'll do, you know, the normal stuff that we do. And I heard the roar and it was great.
He took responsibility and drilled it in. His 5th successful kick in his last 6 league and cup games. The final whistle moments later confirmed Sligo's place in Europe and a 3rd place finish, their best league finish in 15 years.
Rovers had qualified for Europe thanks to their highest league position for years. They had won the League Cup. Now it was time to concentrate on the FAI Cup.
With just over a quarter of an hour to go at Dalymount. If it isn't decided by 90 minutes, it'll be in Sligo to play again on Monday night. But there's Pearce, and maybe they won't have to. Sligo Rovers get the breakthrough. And Gavin Pearce gets the congratulations. congratulations. Jim Loughlin was in there too. One thing's for sure, it's a centre-back's goal. But Gavin Pearce was all smiles. They congratulated him. Who got the final touch? Both of them did.
We're going to give a ball to John. Fabulous ball in by, great ball in by Ryan. There's the touch, and Pearce. It's Pearce, a great header. Great, Loughlin's trying to claim that. The ball comes in again. Yeah, Gavin Pearce. Fantastic goal.
And Alan Kelly blows the whistle, and it'll be a town against country final. The FAI Ford Cup, 4 weeks on Sunday at the Aviva Stadium. Paul Cook Sligo Rovers, for only the second time in their history, are in the final of the FAI Cup for the second year in a row.
Absolutely deservedly so, George. A wonderful performance. It was an absolute pleasure to be here tonight to see them play the football they played. It was a credit to the league, and it was a credit to Paul Cook and his players. And congratulations to Sligo Rovers, deservedly in the cup final.
70 years ago, 1939 and 1940, 70 years on, 2009 and 2010, Sligo Rovers are in the final of the FAI Ford Cup for the second time in succession, and the man who scored the goal, their stalwart defender, Gavin Pearce, putting them through with a quarter of an hour to go. Final score of the first of the FAI Ford Cup semi-finals, Bohemians 0, Sligo Rovers 1. It's Sligo Rovers against Shamrock Rovers of St. Pat's at the Aviva in 4 weeks. We're all set to go, and it's Tommy Stewart from Craigavon in County Armagh who'll roll the ball to start the game, and Gary Twigg, and back it goes. But immediately the first big challenge goes in. Expect it to be feisty. Forward towards Twigg, headed away by Gavin Pearce. Interception there by Keane. Firmly Rose said, well, that was an opportunity for Danny Ventre, but the referee has pulled him back. Ventre saying that should have been an advantage, but the referee has stopped the game for a word with James Chambers.
It was definitely an advantage, Og. You see the tackle, the ball is gone, and Doyle is in between the centre half and left back, and he would have got on the ball. That is a poor decision by the referee.
This time it's Pearce with the clearance, but only as far as Turner. Tommy Stewart. Civis to open the attack. Twigg! Oh! League's top scorer. That was a great chance, and he knows it.
It was a great chance, but look how Thomas Stewart was in a magnificent position, George. Had Gary took a brilliant turn. Could you put Thomas Stewart in there, I wonder? Look at the turn, it's first class. Look at Stewart. He's in goal.
And Alan Manus. Twigg, lovely flick header on. Stewart up to help it on. Chambers. Past Davron Chambers. Twigg. Twigg trying to curl it. Oh, you saw what he was trying to do there. Oh, when you had 27 goals this season, far and away the top scorer in the country, you're confident to try that.
And yes, you are, and you want him to try this, but look at Billy Dennehy on the far side, again in a very advantageous position, but Gary Twigg's instincts told him to have 2 shots. Normally you'd expect 1 goal from those with his record, but he doesn't hit the target on neither shot.
Well, the Sligo fans are certainly making a noise. They've got the Lansdowne Road end. The Havelock Square end is populated by those in green and white. It's Craig Civis. Oh, it's come back off John Russell, and now it's Doyle against Civis. Doyle, they've got a bit of pace here, space. Around the outside goes Bocco. It's Doyle for Bocco. Rovers getting men back. Bocco's cross has gone off a rebound for a throw.
Inexperience, I feel Doyle showed himself there, George.
The cross towards Russell. A shot from Mando, and it's come back off Civis. And Sligo Rovers have their first corner.
Great defending from Civis. Wonderful support from Joseph Mando, but a good lay back by Russell. But watch this defending by Civis. Gets his body right between the ball and the goal.
Joseph and Doe will take the corner. Loughlin and Pearce together in the middle. Oh, brilliant save! That was Bocco, and Manus to the rescue.
It was Bocco all on his own as well, George. Inexplicably. Look at him here. should have buried it. Keeper got a touch onto the crossbar. Just a touch though the keeper got. But he's all on his own. Look at the splendid isolation he's in.
Turner couldn't control it. Loughlin gets it away. It's McCabe. McCabe looking for Doyle. Doyle's little layoff. Beautiful touch by Doyle. It's Russell and McCabe's make ground up the left. Russell hasn't seen him. And it's closed out. But they have got a corner. But that was a great opportunity for Sligo Rovers had Russell seen McCabe free up the left.
Even if he had a little bit more, it was a beautiful touch there by Doyle. Magnificent imagination. This is where you need real pace to get at that last defender. Russell doesn't have it, allows Flynn to come across and make the challenge. Ideally, that sort of pace can burn defenders. He just didn't have it on that occasion.
Undo with the corner. Headed away by Flynn. It's come out to Ventre and back it goes to Undo. Joseph Undo, in goes Doyle, too high for him. And Cives with a header away. It's been retrieved. Jim Loughlin. And now it's Ventre, and Ventre with a shot. Well, he hit the target, but Manus was behind it all the way.
Yes, he struck it very, very well, but Manus in the perfect position. You can see the ball coming straight at him. He's got a bit of a break here, but the decision was made, shot was right, not enough power.
Raverin. Russell. Russell sweeps one wide, and there's that space up in Sligo right. The Shamrock Rovers left again. It's Alan Kane. Kane with the cross, looking for Doyle. Be retrieved here by McCabe. Too close to Manus. But defender Pat Flynn deciding that he had to take no chances and put it out for a corner.
Very, very good defending, George. Good ball into the box. Red shirt's in there. But this one back in is a very good ball indeed. Flynn has to get anything he can on it now. Thank you for Shamrock Rovers.
Undo then for the corner. Oh, Piers! Yet again, the centre of the Shamrock Rovers defence, allowing a free header to a Sligo player.
Yes, this is very difficult to defend against, George. Watch his movement as he attacks the ball. He's very strong. Doyle just cannot get a touch on it. A despairing move as the ball goes past Doyle there. But this is very, very unlucky again from Shamrock Rovers. A little bit more on it.
36,000 in the FAI Cup final. No chance here for Shamrock Rovers, and that has just squirted past. Twig might just have got a touch as that went on the way through.
It's these sort of situations that can produce a winner. Bradley attacks the ball very well, just put under pressure, can't control the shot at goal, and Twig, it just flashed past Twig.
Bradley and Twig and Stewart. Tommy Stewart now is peeling away with James Chambers. Stewart's down, it's in towards Twig. Oh, and he put that straight into the arms of Kieran Kelly. Stewart's still down.
Yes, and a definite free kick there. The referee gave a good advantage. King, Twig at the far post, really hadn't much to head at, George. When we look at this here, keeper covers the angle. There's not a lot we can do. We can see the ball here from the right. It's a decent ball, to be fair, but Twig has nothing to aim at.
For Twig to chase. It's gone right over the top. It's Dennehy now against Kane. And he was caught by the defender. Loughlin, Piers, Kane from the defence, and Joseph Undo all in yellows. Nobody from Shamrock Rovers as yet been cautioned, and the free kick to come for Shamrock Rovers. Chambers, Kelly comes and sees it safely in his hands. Put pressure on Undo, but Undo's got it away, and Bocco too. Advantage play, there was a foul on Undo. McCabe, Doyle. Doyle on for Bocco. Men in the middle for him. A decent ball in there just over the head of Russell. It's come down for McCabe. McCabe! Too high. A great chance for Sligo.
Oh. George, the impetuosity of youth. This was a golden opportunity. He got all the breaks in the wall. It came back. Good first touch. He just didn't get over the ball again.
Bray Wanderers top scorer last year. An opportunity to whack it home.
Keep it down. The keeper has no chance. Along the ground, the keeper only have the side footer with a little bit of pace. It was a goal.
Towards Bocco. Oh, he got up really well, didn't he? And Doyle's there. Smart movement from the central to striker, and now it's with Russell. Doyle in the middle. Russell delivering. Good ball in there. Oh, it was Ventry who was up. Doyle's up there to Danny Ventry. Couldn't get turned on it. Doyle might. Goal kick.
It's tantalisingly close, but not quite right for him. He knew that wasn't correct, but he knew he had to have a go for it. But it was a great layoff by Doyle, who came across Flynn there. This is a superb ball into the back post. Rice just gets it away. Doyle makes something out of nothing again. Venter can't get on the end of it, and it just breaks away from Doyle.
Desi Baker, this is the valedictory salute. The man has given such great service to Shelbourne, to Longford Town, to Dundalk, and finally to Shamrock Rovers.
Yes, indeed. He'll go play up front. Thomas Stewart will go play on the right-hand side, keeping Billy Dennehy on the left. So it's the same formation, same style, but Joseph and Doe.
Doyle did really well there, and he might still, yes, he's helped it on to Russell, who's helped it on and turned to Ventry. And Sligo showing determination. It's Kane. Kane slipped it through here with Bocco, and Manus to the rescue again. Not for the first time for Bocco. Ball still in play. Kane and Bocco, and Kane again. Back to Ventry. Ventry just deceiving Desi Baker there, and now it's Doe. All the way across towards McCabe. Davern wins it back. It's McCabe. Chance for McCabe, and Manus is down to save again. And the pendulum is just swinging in favour of Sligo Rovers.
At least McCabe is hitting the target now, George. The real thing here, could Doyle have got a touch on that ball there? Did he come across the goalkeeper? Keeper kept his eye on the ball. Got her at the second attempt. And here's Bocco's chance away. Great ball inside. Hitch has to hit it early. Keeper stays up.
Now more from the Sligo bench. Jerry Carr, the assistant manager, with Tony.
Jerry, you're on top. You just need to get that goal, don't you?
Yeah. We're we got them in at half time. We've tried to get our full backs a bit wider so we can pass it a bit better. We've done all right first half. Now we're in the ascendancy. Fingers crossed time. We just need that goal.
If it goes to extra time,
well, we'll see. Both sides will make changes all along. We'll see. No, it's a good game, as I said before. It's a good spectacle. We'll keep passing it. We'll keep trying to open them up. And, if there's a God up there, we'll get our goal.
thank you.
Gavin Pearce defended it.
Super ball, George, and a great ball into the box. Away from the goalkeeper, Gavin Pearce, perfectly positioned.
Which brings us to a corner for Shamrock Rovers, which is their first of the second half and only their third of the game, to 6 for Sligo. It's Desi Baker, and Kelly's there to try and fist it, and he hasn't succeeded, and it's defended on the post and away. Sligo really under pressure, and the whistle's gone. The challenge by Turner, free kick to Sligo. Yellow card, another one, 7th of the game. How dramatic was that? Shamrock Rovers so close to taking the lead.
Great ball by Desi Baker. Keeper just doesn't get to it. Up in the air. This one is brave defending. Somebody's hit the head up. There was Alan Kane.
McCabe looking for Russell, but he's got the better McCabe of Russell of Bradley, and on it goes for Bocco. And Stevens just slid in there to get it, but it's kept in play by Kane, and now it's Bocco. Final glory.
And this was great play on his part, George, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and it was hitting the target until Pat Flynn intervened. We'll see Flynn here come from nowhere, like the Cape Crusader maybe. Look at him. That's brilliant defending again. And that's a great layoff by Russell. And the turn in, it takes the defender out of the game, but there's Flynn. Very brave.
No question of a handball. It struck him on the shoulder blade. And Doe and Ventry. Ventry for Doyle. Doyle is a little push there by Flynn. No, referee said it was okay. It's Dennehy. Dennehy shot. Side net. Corner. Took a touch.
It was a good save, George. I didn't think he got a touch sitting up here. He obviously did. Comes in on his left foot, Billy Denny. Hits it very, very well. And the keeper did get a touch. Maybe didn't need it, but you can't have too much assurance.
So 3.5 minutes to go. Dennehy with the corner. Twig! And another save by Kelly.
I'm not sure why Gary McCabe came off the near post there, George. Watch him vacate that near post. Keeper has to make a good save. Why did McCabe do that?
Astonishing, you're there to defend the post, but he didn't. But the keeper did, and now it's Desi Baker with the corner. Bocco away. Bradley too high. Well, there's the final whistle of the 90. And despite the best efforts of both, there hasn't been a goal to show for it. Alan Manus has been the busier goalkeeper. This is the third time that Sligo and Shamrock Rovers have met in the FAI Cup final. Both previous occasions, Shamrock Rovers won 1940 3-0, 1978 1-0 by a disputed penalty. And so the first period of extra time is underway. Sligo Rovers playing towards the end where the Shamrock Rovers fans are massed, and that's a lovely flick on by Doyle, and it's Russell, and Russell still, it'll come back for Bocco. Bocco's cross headed away by Rice. In goes Ndo, but he was beaten to it by Turner, and then it's Desi Baker on for Twig, and Loughlin goes with him, and Kane goes to fill in the middle. It's now Tommy Stewart. Lots of calf massaging going on both sides in the interval between full time and the start of extra time. Obviously, the Aviva pitch is sapping the energy from those legs. Goalkeepers feel it too. They may not run about as much, but
no,
the tension.
It's the mental tension. Yes, it's just as tiring.
A bit risky by Ndo. Now it's Pearce, Sligo. Ventry looking for Doyle, just played the pass a little too firmly there. Idea was good.
The idea was great. He saw what he wanted to do, just too much weight on the pass. As well as that, Doyle isn't as mobile as he was earlier in the game. You can see the gap there. It's a terrific ball apart from the extra pace on it.
Twig, lovely touch, but Ventry did almost enough. Done by Turner. Now it's Twig for Dennehy. And Kelly has to come for that. And keeper took it well. Bumped by Paddy Kavanagh. And we're nearly on the blow for half-time and extra time. And indeed, there is the whistle. So 15 minutes to go in extra time. It's still 0-0. Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0. Bands really wants a resolution from play and not a penalty shootout. Shamrock Rovers then right to left. Sligo Rovers defend. It's come out then to Bradley, and now Dennehy facing Davern. Dennehy's run it out of play. It's a good play with the fullback too. Show him the touchline, let him try and take it down.
Davern has been quite superb, George. But Paul Cook has made a tactical change. He's pushed Joseph Ndo up front and brought John Russell back into the middle of the park, making the 4-4-2.
More cramp problems. Gary McCabe of Sligo struggling a little, but they're on the ball. Russell did that well. Now it's Ndo. Waiting his moment and then decided to take on Turner. Still Ndo, so difficult to dislodge. Alan Kane. Bocco. Ndo. Holding off for Stevens. Oh, clever little ball for Kane, and he's fouled. Stephen Bradley's been booked already. He's going to be sent off. So the red card comes out in the cup final, and it's Stephen Bradley of Shamrock Rovers, and they'll end with 10 men.
This was an effort of pure fatigue, George. He gave in to the fatigue, Stephen. His body won out over his mind. He committed himself to this. He knew it was the wrong thing to do, and he could not stop himself because he was such a tired individual.
Well, there have been a lot of red cards in this match. That was the yellow cards, I should say. That was the 9th. Stephen Bradley makes the long, slow walk. He doesn't want to go, and he has to. So Bradley is being ushered to the side by the referee, and they're thinking of sending on Aidan Price, their regular centre half. 10 men for Shamrock Rovers for the last 10 minutes of extra time. Doe, and here's Kane. Oh, just past the post. Caught the side net. Manis was stretching, and it caught the side net.
Manis was stretching despairingly, George. He would never have got there, would he? He hit it really well, and it was just moving away from the keeper all the way. No, I don't think he would have got that had it been on target. Again, so close for Sligo, so close, but yet.
Well, Aidan Price is being sent on for the last 9 minutes, and it's Desi Baker, who went on as a substitute, who's being sacrificed. And now that's interesting, because Desi Baker, if it goes to penalties, would surely have been one who would have taken a penalty. But maybe Michael O'Neill is thinking, we can't think about penalties until we get there. We can't get beaten.
Yes, exactly. His first priority is the moment. Desi is a penalty taker. Stephen Bradley is a penalty taker. But he does not want to concede a goal between now and the end of the game, and he'll take whatever he gets from the penalties if and when they come. Joseph N'Doh has been given a free role by manager Paul Cook. He's playing up front, he's coming back. He's going to be wherever he can to get hold of that ball for Sligo and try and produce the all-elusive pass.
Tony O'Donoghue, sorry Damien, but Tony O'Donoghue's got the Shamrock Rovers manager Michael O'Neill.
Michael, have you practiced penalties? Have you decided who's going to take them, and would you settle for that now?
Well, we'd have to settle for it now, being down to 10 men, to be honest. You know what I mean? We've looked a wee bit tired extra time, to be honest. But, you know, the boys have been fantastic, and we'll take our chances in penalties if we can get there. But equally, if we can get a chance, we'll take that as well. I thought it was a bit harsh to send it off, you know. He had a great game, Stephen Bradley, a bit harsh on him, but we'll have to deal with it.
It's Davern now for Sligo. In goes Doyle. It's headed away by Price. Now out to Kane. Kane's shot, and it's gone over the bar.
Not what Sligo Rovers wanted from Alan Kane. He wanted more patience, keep the pressure on Shamrock Rovers, keep probing, keep testing, see does somebody break. This lets Shamrock Rovers off the hook.
Well, that was too high. Substitution for Sligo, their first, and it's Conor O'Grady, the club captain, so disappointed not to be in the lineup at the outset, is going to take the place of the man who led the team on the day, Danny Ventre. Fresh legs and a great cheer from the Sligo fans for their talisman. Swap, straight swap. Damien, this is the moment for the man of the match.
Well, Craig Sivez and then Gaila Devoran have been excellent all the way through the game. Indeed, as everybody. But the man I think has had most influence all the way through the game has been Joseph N'Doh. I think he's shown everything about what a good footballer is all about.
World Cup player for Cameroon in 98 and 02. 21 caps for his country. And on this day, the 14th of November 2010, he's the FAI Ford man of the match. And the last chance has come to Shamrock Rovers, it would appear. They have a free kick. This quite likely the last attack. And Kelly's underneath it, and Kelly's stretching. He was fouled. It's a free kick. Free kick to Sligo Rovers.
Well, that would have been just typical of Shamrock Rovers, wouldn't it, George, to win it at this stage of the game? But he was touched, there's no doubt about that.
That's it all over. We've got a penalty shootout for the second time in 3 years. An FAI Cup final that had everything but goals. And the two managers congratulate each other on two perfectly prepared teams that just couldn't be separated over 120 minutes of football. High drama and historic first FAI Ford Cup final in the Aviva Stadium. A first sending off in that first Cup final, and the first of those since 2007, when Pat Sullivan, ironically, was sent off for Longford against Cork. But what a day.
And once I'd spoke to the lads in the Aviva in the middle of the pitch, and I said to the lads, I genuinely did, how proud I was of them. You know, how good they've been for the club. How that not will take the day away now. You know, losing on penalties for Shamrock Rovers, it's not a disaster. You know, there's nothing in penalties. Shamrock Rovers competed so well on the day, and they give everything, as does our lads. And I just said to the boys, you know, have no fear. Don't have fear. My big thing, don't have fear. Don't regret nothing and don't have fear. And I wished them all the best, and I was off. You know, myself and John Coyle went underneath the stand, and we were in the car park type area, and John had his father's rosary beads, and he did, you know, he genuinely did. He's telling me to grab hold of them. He said, Paul, hold them. And I said, I hope your dad's watching, John. You know, I don't know what goes on, but I hope he's watching.
They must be knackered, but are a few minutes away now from somebody being very, very, very disappointed.
After the game, I was so tired, and I knew myself that in that tiredness, I won't get a power to strike the ball like I want. And I just told Paul that no, I'm not feeling.
And say it had ended level after 5 and 6 and 7?
Yeah, I was in the 8th position. So I knew that Kelly will do the job.
I would say that Paul Cook would be the more disappointed of the two. His team dictated the game for long periods in that, and you know, they had the majority of the chances, just couldn't finish it off even in that last 15 minutes of the second period of extra time. So they'll be disappointed. Hopefully they get over that into the penalty shootout, and you know, anything can happen. It's Russian roulette really when you enter the penalty shootout stage. So I wish both teams the best of luck.
Yes, excuse the cliche, but it is a lottery from here on in. Who will be the hero, who will be the villain on this wonderful day at the Aviva Stadium?
For the penalties, there wasn't too many fellas standing up. The fellas I thought were going to be standing up for nearly down the Shamrock Rovers end. I said I knew we were going to win when we went to penalties, and that might sound crazy, but I knew we were going to win because Kieran Kelly's the best I've ever seen at saving penalties, and that's not blowing his trumpet, but he is. I've never seen a guy save a penalty. He's this knack of being able to read players, and even when we were in the line, I was shouting, lads, we're going to win.
Owen Doyle, who scored the first goal last season at Tala in the cup final against Sporting Fingal, put them 1-0 up. They lost 2-1. There was a penalty given away by Kieran Kelly, the goalkeeper, that let Fingal back into it. It's Doyle against Alan Manus, the Northern Ireland international goalkeeper, for the first penalty. No mistake.
When no one scored, obviously I didn't react to it, so I just knew I had to make a save, and Gary Twigg stepped up, and his body language was he opened up his body, but I knew he was going to side foot it into my right hand side, and I went down low, and I pushed it away, I thought, but I deflected it back in towards the middle, and for some split second I said to myself, he's going to hit this again, but I kind of realised that it was over, or it was dead. The ball was dead.
He's only scored 2 goals in the cup. How is he from 11 metres? Well. Kieran Kelly.
And a young girl had she was watching on a screen from outside the stadium, looking up at a TV, and it was one of them conversations that if anyone could have taped it like now, it'd be a bestseller. You know, who's taking the penalty? And I knew Owen Doyle. Tell me, please. He scored, and we're jumping up and down like two madmen. And then Gary Twigg, comes up. He's missed. We jumped. Yes. No, he's put the rebound in. he's put the rebound in, you know, I can. And I called there some explicits, I might add.
So it's 1-0 to Sligo. Twig has missed his penalty. And Alan Manus is saved. So Manus puts Shamrock Rovers right back into it. Alan Kane can't believe it.
A good height for the keeper to save. If you look at this, keeper gets there very, very easily. That could have been a knife in the heart of Shamrock Rovers at Sligo score there.
He was coming up and I just felt that his run-up was too straight for him to whip it or reverse it, as I'll call it, into my right-hand side. I just felt that he was going to side-foot it to my left-hand side, which he did, and I got down well to push it away again. And at this time, I stood up and I just said to myself, I just looked up and I said, do you know what? I'm feeling high now, I'm on a buzz here. And I didn't react, as in I still didn't want my emotions to take over, as in I still wanted to keep my concentration levels high.
Conor O'Grady now, only on the pitch for 8 minutes, the final 8 minutes of extra time against Alan Manus, who's conceded the only one to succeed so far. O'Grady, and he's put it past the post. Right, so it's still 1-0 and we've had 5 penalties.
We haven't seen anything like this, George, in an FAI Cup final before. To Conor.
I was probably too relaxed, as I said, because I wasn't on the pitch long enough. Usually you're going up to that after playing 90 minutes or 120 minutes and you'd be jelly legs. But I was going up and I actually came back and I says, I can't believe I'm after missing a penalty in the Aviva in the cup final.
I turned around and again I was looking for the ball, see was it in the net, and it was behind the advertising boardings, and I was saying, oh God, he didn't score. But I just said, listen, keep concentrating to myself. I just kept talking to myself as I was walking in towards the goal. And again I went through my routine of walking out, touching the 6-yard box, coming back, touching the crossbar, making myself look as big. And as Chris set on the edge of the box, his run, and if you see it on video again, his run was straight. Now it just clicked then that I remember this run up, because previously last year in the league game against Dundalk, the 2-2 draw in Dundalk got a penalty and the run-up was very, very similar. So I said to myself, this fella's going to do something different. And I just felt that it's a very, very hard technique to do a straight run-up and to curl it into my right-hand side. So I said that he was either going to side-foot it or drill it down the middle. I said a few words in relation to Chris, and it was basically telling them about beginning of last season, you know, about how he decided to change codes right at the beginning of the season. Listen, that was up to him, he's made his decision. I just said basically, you won't go down the middle on me, as in, and yeah, bleep, bleep, bleep. I said to the boys then just to come on, any chance he's scoring a penalty first, you know, and then I walked away again.
In fair, Owen Doyle was very calm as well. I remember Owen Doyle being very calm. He was very relaxed and he was going up to he came up to me and Keenan when we missed. Now maybe it helped that he scored, but a lot of lads were, even if you look at the pictures now, they look as if they were in a different world. You know, and maybe in the minds they were, because it's a surreal kind of experience, you know, and maybe I was in a different world as well, but yeah, there wasn't really much shouting. I was saying we're going to win. Kelly will save the penalties, we're going to win. You know, now probably lads don't even remember me saying that, and I don't lads were probably shouting beside me, I don't remember. You know, I didn't even hear a cheer or a groan. Do you know that kind of way? We were kind of in our own little bowl for 5 or 6 minutes or however long it lasts.
I just glanced to my right hand side to see who was stepping up, and I seen Gary, and everybody knows me and Gary have a connection for penalties in training, because he's one of the most difficult penalties to save in training. And we have this little thing where we do, as in, he'll tell me he's going to top left hand corner, but I won't move till it's time to get there. Okay, so we do have a little few wagers, whether it be a can of Coke, a cup of tea, things like that. He'll put it in the top corner, I'll try and get there. And to be fair, I go very, very early and I still can't get there. He's very, very good technically.
Oh, that's a great penalty. That is a great penalty. Gary Gary McCabe makes it 2-0 to Sligo Rovers. Shamrock Rovers only have 2 left. If they miss this one, it's all over.
Great penalty, calmness personified, up in the air.
Again, Paddy's run-up it's a small bit to the angle. If I can remember clearly, it's a small bit at an angle. But he just looked. I stepped out to the 6-yard box and marked the 6-yard box. Stepped back in, touched the crossbar, just to make myself big. More of an appearance more than anything, just to let know who's in control. Like some goalkeepers look at it as the advantage is to the penalty taker. I look at it as the advantage should be to the goalkeeper. Okay, so when they're standing, like the reason why I'm delaying this as well is because I want them to look down the throat to me to see, wow, this fella's a big presence in the goal, and he's got a second to think then. So with that, Paddy, I just felt he wasn't comfortable, and I felt that he was going to put it to my left hand side before he'd even made his run up. But during his run-up, I've made my decision, yeah, he's definitely going to side foot this. But he struck it poorly, to be fair to him. He's a good striker of the ball, but he struck it poorly, and I've saved it with my leg. To this point, I'm up pretty quick, and I'm just calling the boys over that we're going to have a party, you know. So it was an experience that I'll never ever forget. But it was one of emotion, but it was something that, you know, I don't know, I really appreciate it at the time. Obviously, when I look back at it again, I'll probably have mixed emotions about it, but it was something where I felt good, you know, I was in a good place.
Kieran Kelly has won the cup for Sligo Rovers. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Paddy Cavan is denied. Not brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's brilliant, 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 brilliant. 4 saves out of 4. And Kieran Kelly, the man who last season gave away the penalty that let Fingal back into it, has made 4 saves. Has there been a 100% record in a shootout like that? That is just sensational. Sligo Rovers needed only 2. Owen Doyle and Gary McCabe. And they've won the cup for only the 3rd time, and Shamrock Rovers have been denied their double.
Well, you've got to feel for Shamrock Rovers. You look at the players in the centre of the pitch, they are devastated. You look up the other end of the pitch, the Sligo Rovers players, and it is excitement everywhere. A most unlikely hero in Kieran Kelly, but you have to say, it could very well be a record, George, but it is a magnificent performance by the goalkeeper of sheer concentration. He set his standards, he set his high standards, and he met those high standards. And his saves were nothing short of, the word you used quite rightly, was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, this is just terrific for Sligo Rovers. It's been such a match. The first occasion in the Aviva Stadium. The disappointment the champions must be feeling is immense. But you can't but feel for Sligo Rovers and what journey they have been on, and to end it as they did, with last year's villain, this year's hero.
Yes indeed. Yes indeed. And I think it's a great boost for the football club itself and for professional football in the west of Ireland, indeed football at all levels in the west of Ireland. Everybody is full of congratulations to Shamrock Rovers. They put in a terrific effort here today, but Sligo were the better team overall. They're the ones who deserve the cup on the day, it has to be said, and not even the most staunch Shamrock Rovers fans could have any arguments with that whatsoever.
Kieran Kelly in the team because the regular goalkeeper Richard Brush has a broken wrist. Richard Brush with a sentimental place on the bench as a second replacement goalkeeper. Yes. Gets his medal. But the man who stood between the posts this afternoon has delivered. The most stunning performance in the shootout. And the Mayo man, Kieran Kelly, stands tall and denies Gary Twigg, Pat Flynn, Chris Turner and Paddy Kavanagh to win the cup for Sligo Rovers.
I just wonder, were they holding my man of the match, Joseph Ndove, in hand for the final penalty? but he didn't take the penalty, and I see him walking there to receive his award.
Kieran Kelly, the big man from Mayo. Oh yes, he did. You could almost say more than anybody else to ensure that the cup is theirs. And well, maybe he should have been man of the match, but how can he be man of the match if it happens in the shootout? And I think on balance over the piece, it was Alan Manos and Shamrock Rovers who had more saves to make.
Yes.
But through they go with their winners' medals. Joseph Ndong, World Cup player for Cameroon, just getting ready to receive his medal. Well, Paddy McCall, I can't believe that. What a great moment for Joseph Ndong, all the successes that he's had in Irish football, and now he's got an FAI Cup medal with Sligo Rovers to add to his collection. Paddy McCall, the president of the FAI, is making the presentations. It's actually, think about it, Billy Dennehy wishes he was there. That's the pain of the occasion. But those are the players who are there of Sligo Rovers. He's thinking of all the things that Joseph Ndong has won. It's his first FAI Cup.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, looking at Billy Denny there, you see what it means, because everybody wants to get their hands on a medal from the FAI Cup. The feeling, I can guarantee you, George, of losing today creates a great emptiness in you that has taken a long, long time to fill.
Well, they felt that last year, just 12 months ago, in the wind and the rain in Tala. They were beaten by Sporting Fingal, but now it's theirs. And they know they will be legends in Sligo, that is for sure. And Danny Ventre and Conor O'Grady in the middle of that somewhere, awaiting the presentation by the representatives of the board of the FAI. Here it is, 2010, the FAI Ford Cup is won by Sligo Rovers. The ticker tape explodes and the cup is on its way to Sligo. As you could say, the West's awake.
The West will be awake for a few days at least, John. I'm delighted with Conor O'Grady. He's been a terrific player in the league here for many, many years, and this is a great reward for what's been a terrific career.
Well, delight. The stadium is emptied of Shamrock Rovers fans, but this is Sligo Rovers' moment. And Paul Cook can enjoy the moment. It's certainly one of the great football towns, and they have some celebrating to do now. Third of the league, and now the FAI Ford Cup to add to it.
The celebrations will go on, George. The next thing for them is the responsibility the success will bring, how to invest in this team and in this manager. The people running Sligo Rovers have now got a very important few months ahead of them.
The cup is passed around, the bubbles flow, and there he is, Kieran Kelly. Oh, that's a little bit of a dance for the man from Cameroon, and why not?
I should have given man of the match just for the dance.
Everybody's joining in.
A funny story was when we were walking down the steps with our medals after the presentation of the FAI Cup. I bumped into Alan Kelly, the referee from last year's final, and he just had a quiet little word in my ear, and he shook my hand as well. He congratulated me and just said that'll make up for last year, you know. So it was a fitting moment for him as well to say that, because obviously he was involved in a lot of controversy over the penalty. So it was just nice to end it on that note, you know.
Oh, she can't make it. Get it.
Come on, look up, lads. Come on, look up, lads.
Good on you. Cheers, buddy.
Hey, Sligo Rovers.
Different gravy, that lad.
I think fullback. We deserved it over 90 minutes, but it's
Come here, tell us about the penalty.
How did How did you do it? I said to the keeper, I said, let's make this exciting for the 36,000 there. I missed this one for the sake of the crowd there. It doesn't matter. Kieran Kelly was the hero on the day. Fair play to him.
Well done. Hey!
Joe, where's the dad? Get the dance, Joe. I'm not used to it. You understand, you know? This is your home Connor. Come on, Connor. We got him too. We got him too. We got him too. We got him too. Thomas on the back. Thomas on the back.
In a season of so many memories, so many people deserve to be remembered and celebrated. This is just a handful of the cast of thousands.
I had a fantastic man here, Ivor Park, who helped me a lot to settle, you know, for apartment, for everything I want here in Riverstown. He just helped me a lot. He reminded me my home time in Cameroon, because every time I went back, it's the same atmosphere, the same. You see, maybe at the moment we don't realize what we have done. We just help the people to forget all their worries, all their problems for a few hours. And we brought a joy to so many people. Just for a few hours, someone forget all the problems at home, at work, and it's amazing. Sometimes we don't know how we change the people's lives. Just by winning something, you know, just by winning the FAI, we just bring so much joy, so much pride to the people, you know, and that's make me more happy. You know, in some point last year, when I have opportunity to go in outside, so I couldn't agree a deal there when I decided I have to stay. My main point was find a team where I can have an impact among the players. And I just feel that Sligo has had a young squad of players, very talented, and somehow they never know how good they were, you know. So when a friend of mine, Frank O'Neill, told me that, listen, I spoke with Paul Cook, and I just say, go for it. That is exactly what I need in this time of my career. And for me, there is only one way to play football. Is when you don't have the ball, you have to fight to get it. And when you get it, you have to fight to keep it. It's simple of that. So they used to say that the best defense is attack. So if they say it's attack, that means you have to keep the ball to open the team every time. So every player are doing that on training, but not in the game. So we just bring that in the game and be more calm, because in the end, keep the ball or not, you can make mistake. So it's better to go out to play football, because that's why you want to play football, and that's exactly what we are doing. The problem Richie had in Sligo is that Richie is a genius, and sometimes it's difficult to understand genius, you know. He's a little bit, he's shoulder head ahead from most of the players. So sometimes he thinks so fast that others cannot follow. And the first time I saw him, I said, oh my God, this guy is just unbelievable.
I suppose I was kind of rare in the showgrounds, Tommy. We lived in Rose Hill for 6 years, and as I said, my grandmother was in Tracy Avenue, so you know, whether it was Cullen's Fun Fair or the circus, we were in the showgrounds all the time, you know, with the brothers or mates or whatever. So, you know, in '94, it was a special time. I think the lights electrified the whole town and county, and the fact that we had a great time as well and went on to do the treble, you know, it was a great time. And I think now what we'll do, we'll bring people to the showgrounds that have never gone before, and start going. We'll breed a new generation of supporter that the lads bred in '94, you know. So, you know, they were great times, first away games and all that crack. I came back in 2005. We were in the first division, and now, really, if we're all being honest, you know, we should have the treble, we should have the league title as well, you know. So Paul and Jerry have done a wonderful job, as have the committee, you know. They brought in the right man. I think Paul has brought in good players, you know, good honest players who they've all gelled together, and you know, we've 2 cups in the bag this year, which is, you know, fairy tale stuff, you know, and back in European football. So hopefully we can build on it, and you know, I think really we have to look at the league now. You know, as I was saying about the cup myself, you know, we were kind of brought up to a cup medal was more important than a league, or winning the cup was more. But I think it's a long time since '77, you know, so it'd be nice to bring the league back here, and supporters deserve it. I think it's important for supporters to go out there and be able to identify with someone, or I know his brother, or I don't know what it is, but yeah, I always say I'm a supporter who was lucky enough to be a player. So, you know, I think, you know, I've been blessed to be there for as long as I have, and you know, hopefully I'll be there for a bit longer. was very close to leaving in the transfer window, to be honest, and I wanted to leave because I just want to play. You know, I'm like any footballer, you want to play, and I'm at hitting 31 now in May, so I'm not getting any younger. So yeah, it was frustrating at times, but then again at times, you know, I was watching, as I've said to so many people, in my opinion, the best Rovers team I've seen in my lifetime anyway, and I know people have said that have been going further back in time, say it's the best team they've seen in their lifetime. So sometimes you have to sit back and just say, you know, it's great to watch, and when you're winning, you can't go and complain and why am I in the team, you know, you just have to sit back and watch it and be professional, and when you get your chance, just try and take it.
Not brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's brilliant, 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 brilliant. 4 saves out of 4.
It was the happiest day of my life, Tommy, and that's being honest with you. The wife won't be too happy with that, but she actually gave out to me for saying that. But I have to be honest, like as I said, we were brought up, the cup was special. For whatever reason, it was bred into me that the cup was special, and you know, even walking it across the Shannon and walking it in over the curlews, you know, there were times I won't forget, you know. So it was a special time and something that means a lot to me.
Part of the problem, I suppose, with Sligo Rovers, they were looking at the financial situation from a Friday to Friday. Did we have the wages for the players on Friday? And that was the main emphasis every week, to have money for Friday. But we stood back and we looked at a 1-year plan or 2 years plan, and we came up that if the club could get 130,000, it would solve the problems, it would clear our debts. And in fact, if you recall, in the month of July, we went to the media and we went to all of our supporters and said that the club, if it hadn't got 130,000, it certainly couldn't survive. And I think it must be a record that in the month of July, in a period of 5 weeks, the club raised 100,000, 80,000 from a syndicate and 20,000 from new shareholders. And that gave us 100,000. That particular time, we had the Liverpool Legends. The Liverpool Legends came in, and it's fair to say that that particular fundraiser, which contributed 28,000 in the month of June, I would say, and I've often said it, that particular fundraiser saved Sligo Rovers. People may not realise it, but that 28,000 was vital that got us over the next day. So the 100,000 that we raised put us on a sound footing. And I think it's fair to say that we haven't looked back from that month. I don't think we've ever gone to the papers, to our supporters, or to anybody looking for money. I'm always intrigued when it comes to Sligo Rovers, the goodwill that's out there. I think people on the outside probably don't appreciate or realise all of the goodwill that is there. Certainly the 400 Club has been a huge success. At the moment has 467 members. The Lotto is hugely successful on a weekly basis, the golf classics, and all of the fundraisers, the Sligo Rovers, the annual draw, they are all a huge success. Only because I think all of the people there want to support Sligo Rovers. They are an institution in the town. And as I think the other thing that has happened over the last number of years, I think they see the improvements in the showgrounds. I think that's the most important thing. It's not just about the team, it's about the showgrounds itself. If you look at the pitch, where we invested 20,000, in the past we never invested any money in the pitch. So we brought people on board that looked after the pitch, we looked after the infrastructure. So I suppose the emphasis was a club, an overall club, as opposed to a football team. And I think that's really the success. And I think people are now beginning to see that, you know, that is the reason that we are being successful. You couldn't write the script for Sligo Rovers. I don't know of any other club that has the structure from a voluntary point of view that can raise so much money, whether it's the 400 Club, continually, year in, year out, year in, year out. Most clubs are successful in doing it for 1 year, maybe 2 years, and it's a record if you get 3 years out. But Sligo Rovers seem to get it every year. I believe that, you know, people who make the contributions that they do for Sligo Rovers, I think they need some people to come on board. You know, everybody doesn't want to be involved at committee level, so therefore people like myself and people like the chairman, the secretary, the vice chairman, the committee members, the officers. I do it because I see the effort that other people make, and I believe that I can make a contribution by their being representatives back to the club, and vice versa. I see myself as the club's representatives back to the people who contribute the money. So I think that's important, I think, to get the message to people. And I would see myself in Sligo Rovers, or what I've been doing for Sligo Rovers, as being the people who make the contributions, as being their representative of the club, and I would like to think that I make a contribution as being the club's representative back to them, to give them the story. And at the same time, let them see that we are making progress. When they come to the showgrounds, they can see there are improvements, and the improvements are brought about by their contribution.
Well, not too many people have actually worn this particular hat. It's known as Fraser's hat. Now, Fraser Brown was a legend in Sligo folklore. He's been going to the showgrounds from the late 20s, when we were formed in 1928. It's been every significant major event the Sligo Rovers have taken place, especially in cups, cup semi-finals, cup finals. It has appeared at every cup final that Sligo Rovers have played. Our first one was in 1939, when the legendary William Ralph, or better known in England as Dixie Dean. That was at 39. It went to a replay. Dixie scored the first goal, ended up a draw, went to the second one, we lost 1-0. Second one was in 1940, Fraser was there. Lost again to 3-0 to Shamrock Rovers. Then we went on to 1970, 3 replays. Unfortunately, we lost out to Bows again. 78, John Carpenter special, who'll forget it? We'll forget about the final, we'll remember John Carpenter. Another defeat. 1981, we got lost 2-0 to Dundalk. I can still see a goal directly scored from the corner. That's the joys of the hat. 83, what can we say about 83? A memorable day. Went a goal down, came back, 2 good goals, Stenny and a winner by Harry McLaughlin. All over. Fraser in the stand, tears running down his eyes. What more do you want? I think this little man on the hat was actually crying himself. Now, after that 83, unfortunately, Fraser passed away. And at his graveside, his brother Dick handed the hat to Dermot McCullough. Dermot wore the hat in 1994. That was the only time he wore it. Sometime after that, Dermot passed away, sadly. We got to the final in 2009, but before the final in 2009, we played Bohemians in the semi-final. And I thought about the hat, the famous hat, who's going to wear it. I got brave and I asked the owner of the hat, who is now Eddie McCullough now at the moment, and I asked him, what are the chances of getting the loan of the hat? I would love to bring it to the semi-final to keep tradition up. And he said, gladly. I brought the hat, semi-final, and we won. What a feeling coming out of Dalymount Park. You know, it was unbelievable. But going back to the 2009 final, I had the hat in Tala. My wife Tina said to me after the match, she says, you shouldn't be wearing that hat, it's bringing us bad luck. I had it in the Aviva Stadium, formerly known as Lansdowne Road. This guy is special. So was Fraser.
First and foremost, from Paul's perspective and mine, is your first team, where you'd have to say we've been successful, but there's big things need looking at, like young structures, and I've got a little 7-year-old son myself, and we need to start developing players, Tommy, as well. Sligo lads. There's not enough Sligo lads have come through in the last few years. Obviously, you can mention Conor O'Grady. You've got young Mark McGoldrick now, who's 18. But really there's no conveyor belt of talent, so we have to keep going outside to bring them in. But that's a big issue that we need to look at as a club and a community, is how can we get better coaching into clubs, the junior clubs and etc. But it's something that never leaves my mind, obviously more so because of my own son, but on a bigger picture there's scope. I've said it a few times now, for this to be the biggest club in the country, so we're certainly trying to progress. Have a look round you. We've now got the AstroTurf. We still, and I know Packy Lynch is coming, and Packy's trying to help us with training pitches and stuff. We can still improve. We can improve through Paul to me. to as I say, the youth structure to training pitch. We can still improve, but it's there. The scope is there to improve. You know. We're a community-based club, and just the feeling of, you know, there's doom and gloom in the economy and with all the talk of recessions and different stuff, and I think we actually brought joy to people. You know, people that, you know, they could be sitting at home depressed in their houses, and they actually came out to acknowledge that they were part of something, you know, part of a community club. And you know, on a bigger picture, hopefully we can get some of them out supporting us next season and try and push on. But as I say, I couldn't speak highly enough for the people and the support we had all year, so I'm just glad we gave them a little bit of joy.
Mary just gave me a phone call there the week before the cup final, and she just said that would I like to be honoured by the FAI for this award, you know. And of course, when you're sitting at home, you say, well, this is the last bit of glory. So I said I accept it, you know. I'm delighted. The whole day was bringing up the son-in-laws and whatnot, and it made a good day out of us. We were treated well and whatnot. But before the match, they had a meal and all arranged, and there was probably 300 or 400 at it, and we were presented with trophies, so I just thought that was it, you know. So I went down, relaxed, and was watching the match, and just about 10 minutes before half time, this girl comes up and says, Tony, you have to go on the pitch, you know. I mean, it's okay walking on the pitch when you're with a gang, but I mean, when it's an individual thing, it's different, you know. And of course I had to do it, so down I went, and I was delighted, you know. And it was a great thrill. I mean, the first time that it was ever happened at the Aviva Stadium, and it was a fantastic stadium. And I said the reception I got was good, and as I said, for my time of life, it was very enjoyable.
And did you have any banter with any of the fellas who were there?
Well, just at the meal, after the meal, the Sligo Rovers of '85 were there. So I mean, the whole probably 15 or 16 of them were there, and I was by myself. And of course, fair dues to them to come over and congratulated me. And Mick Neville and Pat Burton were just having the crack, and Mick Neville just said to me, Fago, he said, says he, while you're sitting there, says he, there's 4 of the lads that's over there and they're wearing shin guards at the table.
I mean, I've said all along that, you know, I mean, we waited so long for it. I mean, the crowd are out there now and they're waiting to get at us. I mean, it's the best thing that ever happened to football for us to win the cup, because I mean, we were starved for success down here so long, so I'm definitely going mad to get out there myself.
My type of football wouldn't be played today, because I mean, as I say to you, in our time, if you had a problem with a player, I mean, somebody would say to me, Fago, will you sort a player out, you know what I mean? Not how would I put it, not nasty or anything, but I mean, you know, if some teams come and have a player that dominates the game for them, you know, I usually pick them up and whatnot, you know. And I think over the 22 years I played, I kind of done a fair job on it. And as I say to you, I get plenty of respect from a lot of people around in the game still that my type of football was good at the time. So this year, I mean, with the football that they're playing, you know, I mean, you couldn't but be happy for them going into a final, because they played great football all season. And I was just saying to some of the lads that I was delighted with Sligo Rovers, because Shams play good open football, and the ways they play is whoever plays best on the day, you know, they don't come to spoil a game, they come to win it themselves, or the better team wins. And Sligo, by mishap, you know, or whatnot, missing penalty kicks the same as them, kind of just come out on top, and it was great. People talk about the players and the team and whatnot, you know, and the manager, but I mean, you have to give great credit to the club for backing him, you know. I mean, the panel of players he has, I mean, this year, I mean, the club must have found it awful hard to get money, you know. I don't know where to get it out of it, you know, but I mean, there's no big main sponsors or anything like that. But I mean, to help him again this year, I mean, they're going to have to dig deep again, you know. But I'm saying to you, the people I think after seeing the ways to play football, I mean, they'll back them again, and it's probably easier to get money now when you're winning, Tommy, than try and get money when you're losing. You know, and as I say to you, the club deserve great credit for getting all this money. I mean, they give the man the chance that he can fulfil his ambitions and whatnot, you know. As I say to you, his next step, I think now, is he's going to have to try and win the league, you know, and he'll want to get off to a good start and see it. I mean, if he gets most of the players that he has from this year and just add one or two, well, then he won't be complaining that he have to gel, because he'll have majority of the team will be here for 2 years.
Do you miss it?
Ah, you would. No, it's true. I mean, I'm up there in the stand, I sit beside one or two friends, and you're always thinking, I mean, of back, and once you play it, I mean, you never stop. I mean, you'd like to play it, you know, but I mean, someone asked me the other night, would I play in a bit of a kickabout for Sligo Rovers out there? I said, I'm not able to cross the road, says I. Says I, if someone comes down the road, says I have to go into a wee sprint, says I, to cross it. I know, as I said to you, I had my day, and as I said, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't change my time when I played. It's a different era now, and the man says, you had your day, and everyone, you know, we were different type of players, because I mean, we were old-fashioned. There was no cooling down after a match with us. It was into a shower, had a fag, and over to our locals, and just threw the bag in the corner, and we just talked to our friends that was there.
With the way Sligo Rovers came back in that second half, it was a new team to me. That particular year was a special year. It was beautiful, and everybody enjoyed themselves. There was, you know, the town was buzzing for the whole week, and you know, when I remember back, you know, that time up in Cahaney's, everybody seemed to be just enjoying themselves, and you know, Lord rest the people that's passed, you know, they were enjoying themselves too, you know, and I do often sit back and remember them, and you know, they were great people. I'm proud to see that they had to fight back. I'm proud of Sligo Rovers.
I think it's great, Tommy, magic.
And we congratulate Cove Ramblers. They have been a credit. 3 cheers for Cove. They have been a credit.
Oh, well, they've been waiting 50 years for it. So you can imagine what it means for Sligo.
It took us 50 years to come back to the game. And I'm in 1938. And I'm delighted. I'm delighted.
Talk about Tony, talk about Tony.
This man is overwhelmed today. I know that, a father of Tony Fagan. And he's overwhelmed here today. I decided, Tommy, to sit back this time and relax and look at the game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought there was some grand football played, open play and the whole lot. And what I find this year with Sligo Rovers, that they're playing a grand piece of football, and it's attractive to look at. And it would want you to come back to see another game in the showgrounds. That's what I admired about Sligo this year, and also the fact that they have a good manager there. He knows how to motivate players, and the players do motivate themselves for him, which showed in the results that we have got this year.
Well, there's the final whistle of the 90. And despite the best efforts of both, there hasn't been a goal to show for it. Alan Manus has been the busier goalkeeper. Shamrock Rovers came stronger towards the end of the 90, but there's more to come. Don't go anywhere. 0-0 at full time. Extra time to come. That's the way it is after 90 minutes. Sligo Rovers nil, Shamrock Rovers nil.
Sligo was still going when Shamrock Rovers were falling out of their standing, and that was through the fitness that Paul Cook had put into that team, and you know, it showed there. and you know, it was remarkable to see the penalty kicks being saved there. That to me was another, what would I say, is history made again. And you know, it was lovely to see that happening. And you know, at that particular time now, going to penalties, you know, I was kind of crossing the fingers because it was a nerve-wracking time. But they came out, and good luck to them.
It was amazing to play in front of 36,000. It's amazing for any player, you know. And for me personally, to miss out on that was hard to take, but as long as the lads won, that was all that mattered to me, and Blinks and Brushy as well.
In a season that has seen Sligo play like a well-tuned orchestra, Chief Conductor Richie Ryan walked away with the top prize. Small comfort for missing next week's cup final through suspension.
Very little consolation, to be honest. This is the first award I've ever won personally, but obviously I'd prefer to be captaining the side next week at the Aviva and leading the lads out and hopefully bringing the trophy back to Sligo.
From the PFAI's point of view, I think we'd like to see the league take an approach where if a player was to go 4 or 5 games without a booking, that maybe he'd have one of them yellow cards taken off, if you like, for good behaviour. I think that's something that the league have got to look at.
Everybody wants different things from football. Some people want to be successful with money and for when football is gone, but then other people just want to try win medals and be successful as a player. I think personally for me, I was in England before, I've played in Belgium, come back to Ireland the last 2.5 seasons and had a good season this year. So whatever comes from now, we'll just have to weigh out the options. I personally feel very at home here in Sligo. I have done for the last 1.5 years or so. Hopefully people have been able to tell by my football this year that I'm happy here and I enjoy the football that we play, so there's not really much reason for me to move on unless it would be to a bigger club. I think for any fan that's watched us playing this year, I think it was plain to see the massive influence that Joe had on me personally and the whole squad. I think he just brings calm and influence to the whole team, and he's comfortable on the ball, which the way we play is a lot easier for everybody else to be comfortable then as well.
Jerry Smith called for me here, and we were in perfect time, like 1:45 or something. He called for me, so we'd have plenty of time to go. I was never in the ground before, you see, so I was like Sligo man in New York for the first time. I was looking up and around. Beautiful stadium, by the way.
The Aviva day started for me at the team hotel, and I get quite nervous, so I go off on my own. So I made my own way to the stadium and met up with my family. Didn't sit in the VIP box. Like everyone else, I'm a supporter when the whistle blows. I can't influence matters any more than that. So I was sitting there, and about maybe 10 or 15 minutes in, I saw a bit of activity behind me.
The game started. Now, no pain, nothing. Just the player, I remember, was over on the far side of the pitch, on the far touchline. And I remember getting a little bit fuzzy, like, you know. And that's it. Out. Completely. Never remember a thing after that.
I realised this was something that needed immediate attention. So I went up and we had to administer oxygen and take over his airway, and then we had to shock him to bring back his heart rate. He was in a fairly critical condition. Jude McSharry was on the scene fairly quickly and got him out to the ambulance. And I have to commend Jude, because I was on the way to Vincent's Hospital with him in the ambulance, and Jude allowed me to pull rank and said he was back, he was talking at that stage, I'll take him to Vincent's. So I came back then, having missed all of the first half, which probably good for my own heart actually, that I didn't have to watch it. and thankfully then went in that evening and saw him again on Thursday before he went home. So despite all Kieran Kelly's, I made the save of the day, in my opinion.
People tell you that with heart attacks you get pains and you get this and that. Never. The next thing I remember was an ambulance man in the ambulance, and they were speeding me up to Vincent's. So it was of course, when I got in there, I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember a nurse coming in telling me, "Oh, the game was a draw." And maybe that brought me to a bit, but they kept coming in then, "Oh, they missed a penalty. Oh, they scored a penalty." And I still didn't know. Eventually, I think Jerry Smith told me that they had won on penalty kicks.
What I had seen was the ambulance guy giving the sign that there's no hope here, and I was actually there with another doctor friend of mine who wouldn't be used to those critical incidents, and he thought all was lost. But in anaesthetics and that frontline special, we kind of deal with that all the time, and things are never quite as bad as they seem, but certainly it worked out well. And when I got back, I got a couple of text messages, and I was sitting with a friend of mine who's a barrister, and in typical legal fashion, he leaned over after about 5 minutes of me having retaken my seat, and he just said, "Was he one of us or was he one of them?" And I said, well, at the time, I wasn't chatting to him. I said he was somebody who went down, and of course subsequently turned out to be a great Sligo fan, so that was it.
I got over the heart attack, but you don't beat Sligo Rovers every day in a cup final, that's for sure. You know, and the so-and-sos will be probably back next year to challenge us again for it.
Well, that evening he was a bit, he wasn't right. He was a bit kind of drowsy or whatever. And on the Thursday we had a better chat about it, and he didn't recognise me. And I said, well, I sure as hell recognise you. And he asked me for a DVD of the game. And I said, I'll get you DVD of the game and we'll do something about you. And I said, when we have our party after the new year, we might organise to have you down. And just a fantastic guy, Sligo fan for 60 years, and just great that it turned out so well all round.
The present team that I have down there played some great, best football. I think I go to matches here in Dublin now, not known when Sligo are here, and I think the best game of football played this year, or for many a year, was the game in the semi-final against Bohemians. That was, I mean, you talk about your premierships and your this, that and the other. It was every bit as good, not better, in my opinion. And Sligo were responsible for most of the good football in it, So I think that Paul Cook is doing a magnificent job down there. Hope he stays.
Fergal Keaveney, our treasurer, is a very hard man to deal with. I can tell everyone. Fergal's not easy to deal with anyone. But I get on great with Fergal, and it took no length of time. It's a no-brainer in any shape or form. I love this club. I want to manage in England. I make no bones of that. I'd like to have a career in football, but I just want to be happy. I want my family to be happy. If I had to manage here for a length of time, I wouldn't blink. I have no aspirations at all to manage another League of Ireland club, none. I don't sit here thinking one day I'll manage Bohemians or Shamrock Rovers, what people would call the big clubs. I think we're a big club. I think we're the biggest club in Ireland, and I'm proud to be our manager.
On a personal point, it's very difficult to expect another season like this. You can train and prepare in every aspect as diligently as you can and stride for perfection. We've brought in a fitness coach. We've spent more time on yoga, on our preparation, on our diet than we've ever done. But there's no legislating for a John Carpenter or a deflection or something like that, and suddenly you're deprived. And we could go out in the first round away to Cove Ramblers next season or whoever it is, and the season is a disaster. So what you've got to do is try and look over 2 or 3 years, and we would have set certain goals where we feel Sligo Rovers should be qualifying for Europe at least every 3 seasons, should be winning a trophy every 3 seasons. And as I said down at the town hall, the great disappointment for me will be if it's 16 years before we carry the cup west of the Shannon again. So it's going to be a challenging year. I believe the next trophy is the most important one for Sligo Rovers. If we can get another trophy in the cabinet next year or the year after, I think it gives us something to build on. And if you look back at Billy, and he was a fantastic manager, he never managed to deliver that second trophy that maybe would have kept us at the top for 6 or 7 years, something that lads like Jim McLaughlin did in Dundalk. And as I say to Cookie, now the work begins. Bring back another one, and that'll really set us up, please God, for 5 or 10 years.
You know the chairman well at our club. He actually said that I'd done okay the other week, which was an amazing thing with our chairman. He actually said, you haven't had a bad season, which I took that as a massive compliment from our chairman. We want to be successful. What is success? I'd love a good European night here. I really would. I think a European night for me. And that's not playing a game, Tommy. That's knocking someone out. That's knocking a team out. I'd love that. I think silverware it's everything. To have trophies is everything. Can we win the league? Are we good enough to win the league? Will we have the squad to win the league? Who knows? But we'll try our best.
I hope he doesn't have another heart attack now going in with this thing,
If he sees you, he might think that's what it's for,
I got the stuff with me, got the Reese's stuff with me.
Let's go and find out.
Let's go in. He's a good fella, good fella.
Did you get a medal?
Well, there's a cup
Now.
coming in. Holy shit. Now, you got a medal and all, yeah?
In the back.
Okay.
You're like
Go.
that.
Let's go.
The cap on which one is it?
There he is. Keep going, in you go. Down the end, the white-haired man down the end.
How are you? Are you all right?
How are you?
There you go. We came to bring you the cup. Didn't I promise you I'd bring you the cup? There you go. All right. Put that up there. What? There you go. You didn't think you'd see it? I didn't think you'd see it. There you go now. I promised you that night I'd bring it to you, didn't I? Well done. Well done.
What's up, mate? Don't be silly. It's lovely to see you with us, mate. Thanks very much, mate.
Turn at the match. There you go. Well, I better buy you a pint now, I suppose. I'll have a glass of Guinness. Glass of Guinness.
Glass of Guinness, please, mate.
Hold it there with me, will you? Lift it up there. Have you the strength to lift it up? What? Come over here. What?
Well, Sean.
Hold it up there now. There you go. We turn it around. There we go. Turn it round. Now, you didn't think you'd see that. There you go. How many years are you supporting them?
Over 60.
60 years. There you go.
La